"H-O-OK!" The little boy screamed so loud, the sound echoed through the entire marble mansion. His nanny, shaking and tearful, ran out the door as a glob of baby spit landed on her designer blouse. The child, barely 2 years old, had just thrown his food at her and hit her across the face with his tiny hand. This wasn't the first time. In fact, it happened so often that no nanny lasted more than a week. Everyone said the millionaire's son was spoiled beyond saving, an untamable little monster. But one day, someone unexpected walked into that house. Someone who didn't come from wealth, didn't have fancy degrees in childcare, and didn't even plan to stay long. Yet somehow, she became the first person that little boy ever showed love to. Hey friends, welcome back to your channel name, where we share heart-touching stories that remind you that kindness can change the world. If this story moves you even a little, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Every story here is a small reminder that compassion still exists even in the most unexpected places. Ethan Walker was one of the richest men in New York City. He built his empire from scratch, a chain of luxury hotels, restaurants, and vacation homes. But after his wife passed away during childbirth, his world collapsed. He was left with a newborn baby, Noah, and a heart full of grief. At first, Ethan tried his best to be there for his son. But his work consumed him. The more pain he felt, the harder he worked, maybe trying to escape the silence that reminded him of his late wife. By the time Noah turned 2, Ethan was barely ever home. To make up for his absence, Ethan hired the best nannies money could buy, highly trained women who came with glowing recommendations. But one after another, they quit. Some lasted a week, others only a few days. Noah bit, screamed, kicked, and even spat at them. He refused to eat when they tried to feed him. He broke their glasses, tore their jewelry, and hid their phones. The entire household called him the demon child. But deep down, Noah wasn't evil. He was just lonely. He didn't remember his mother, and his father's face was something he saw only in photos. Every time another nanny quit, he felt a piece of him harden, like love was something temporary, something people gave up on. Then one morning, a young woman named Rosa walked into the mansion. She wasn't a nanny. She was just there to clean. Rosa was in her early 30s, with gentle brown eyes and a voice so soft it could calm a storm. She was from a small town and had come to New York after her husband died in an accident, leaving her with 2 children to feed. She worked long hours as a maid to keep her family afloat. That day, Rosa was dusting the staircase when she heard a loud crash. A glass of milk had been thrown across the room. A woman's voice yelled, "I'm done. I can't do this anymore." It was Noah's latest nanny, storming out of the house. Ethan had just walked in, exhausted from work, and saw the mess, milk dripping from the walls, the baby screaming, the nanny leaving. He rubbed his temples in frustration. When Rosa saw the chaos, she didn't say a word. She quietly grabbed a towel and began to clean up the milk. Noah, sitting in his high chair, glared at her. He threw a spoon at her arm. It hit her hard. Rosa looked at him, not with anger, not with shock, but with understanding. "You must be hungry, huh?" she said softly. "I'd be mad too if my milk was cold." Noah froze. No one had ever spoken to him like that before. Rosa warmed another glass of milk, stirred in a bit of honey, and held it out. "Let's try again," she said. For the first time in months, Noah didn't scream. He took the glass and drank it. From that day forward, something changed. Rosa wasn't hired to be a nanny, but she began spending little moments with Noah while cleaning. She'd hum songs as she swept the floor, and Noah would watch her quietly. When she did laundry, he'd sit beside the basket and hand her socks one by one. It wasn't long before Noah started following her around the house. The maids laughed, calling him Rosa's little shadow. One afternoon, Rosa was scrubbing the kitchen floor when Noah came up behind her. She turned and found him holding a cookie, his small hand outstretched. "For you," he said. Rosa smiled, eyes welling with tears. "Thank you, sweetheart." It was the first time Noah had ever shared anything with anyone. Days turned into weeks. Ethan began noticing the difference. The tantrums stopped. The screaming faded. The staff whispered that the boy who used to spit and hit now smiled and laughed. One night, Ethan came home early. He walked upstairs and paused outside Noah's room. Inside, he saw Rosa sitting on the floor with Noah in her lap, reading a bedtime story. Noah's head rested on her shoulder, and for the first time, he looked at peace. Ethan stood there quietly, his throat tightening. It had been 2 years since he'd seen his son look that happy. The next morning, he asked Rosa to stay after work. "Whatever you're doing," he said, "it's working." "Noah, he's different with you." Rosa smiled gently. "He doesn't need perfection, sir. He just needs love. Sometimes, kids don't act bad because they're bad. They act out because they're hurt." Those words hit Ethan hard. For so long, he had tried to buy comfort, expensive toys, new nannies, fancy therapists. But none of it mattered because what Noah truly needed was someone who cared. From then on, Ethan started changing too. He began taking time off work. At first, it was just a few hours a week, then full weekends. He'd play blocks with Noah, join Rosa in cooking breakfast, and tuck his son in at night. Noah blossomed. He giggled, hugged his father, and began calling Rosa Auntie Ro. The mansion that once echoed with screams now overflowed with laughter. But life wasn't done testing them yet. One morning, Rosa didn't come to work. Hours passed, and Ethan got worried. He called her number, no answer. Finally, he drove to her small apartment on the outskirts of the city. Her daughter answered the door, eyes red from crying. "Mom's in the hospital," she whispered. "She collapsed while coming home last night." Ethan rushed to the hospital. Rosa was lying in a small, dim room, pale but smiling when she saw him. "I'm sorry I didn't come in," she said weakly. "I didn't want Noah to see me like this." Ethan took her hand. "You've done more for my son than anyone ever has. I should be the one thanking you." Rosa recovered slowly, and during that time, Ethan helped her family, paying her medical bills, hiring tutors for her kids, and even giving her a full-time position as Noah's caretaker, not just a maid. When Rosa returned to the mansion weeks later, Noah ran to her and threw his little arms around her neck. "I missed you," he said. Then he kissed her cheek, the same boy who once spat on everyone who tried to care for him. Tears filled Rosa's eyes. "I missed you too, sweetheart." That simple kiss changed everything for Ethan. He realized that kindness wasn't something money could buy, it was something you gave freely, from the heart. Years later, when Noah turned 10, Ethan stood beside him at a school event. Noah had just won a kindness award for helping a new student who didn't speak much English. When reporters asked what inspired him, he smiled and said, "My Auntie Rosa. She taught me how to be kind." Sometimes the richest hearts aren't found in mansions, they're found in people who have little but give everything. Rosa didn't have wealth, status, or power. But her kindness healed a broken child and reminded a lost man what truly mattered. So, the next time you see someone struggling, don't look away. A small act of compassion might change a life, maybe even your own. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to your channel name. Because here, we believe one thing with all our hearts: kindness doesn't cost a thing, but it can mean everything.